Hi everyone, welcome to the next edition of the South Coast Sellers Club. Thank you so much for giving up your time and being with us today. A few comments about the sunshine and what better way to enjoy the sunshine than spending it indoors with me, you lucky people. So today is going to be a busy day. You've probably seen what the subject matter is all about. We're going to be talking about sales tools, systems and automation. And I'll run through the agenda with you just now. So obviously we're going to get a few introductions from me. I'll get my slides in the right order first. So for those of you that haven't been before, welcome to the South Coast Sellers Club. So we're a meetup, we're a community, and in a few months, hopefully we'll be back in the real world, so we can get to meet, shake hands, have a drink, and share some knowledge as well. We want to work with business owners, sales leaders, and people in sales teams as well. Anyone who's looking to grow their business and sell more. And we're going to be bringing you more and more events, lots of different subject matter, and we'll bring you more information on that our next event later towards the end of the event today. So the idea is we're going to be bringing you lots of practical advice. A lot of events we've been to in the past, you get lots of talking, lots of hype, lots of, isn't it nice if we could? What we want you to be able to do is leave all of these sessions with a few things that you can actually apply into your business straight away to try and give you the full advantage of our experience and skills, but hopefully between yourselves, share some ideas in some of the networking sessions. And that leads me on to the new part. So our events previously have been around the webinar method of coming along and hearing people talk with a fireside chat and a keynote. What we've done is listen to a lot of what you want, and that is further networking, sharing ideas as a community. So part of what we're going to be doing today, after some of the talks, is bringing you into breakout rooms and letting you network with each other to share ideas, maybe make some new connections and possibly even sell. Wouldn't that be nice? We do have a private LinkedIn group, which everyone here today will be getting invited to if you're not already in it. And at any point, feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure we can address them where we go. Just a bit of housekeeping. We are obviously recording this today, so we put all of our events up onto YouTube after the event in case people can't attend and want to get some value from the talks. So we have paused your mics and turned off your videos. I hope you don't mind, and we'll obviously let you turn those back on once we bring you into the networking sessions. But just to reiterate, as again, leave your questions in the chat and we'll make sure we try and address them as we go. So what's today all about? As I said at the beginning, before I got way ahead of myself, you're going to be hearing from Steve, co-founder of Silicon Brighton next. Then I'm going to be back talking through the sales tools and setup that I use in my own business, Second Voice. Then we're going to move on to a fireside chat with Lindsey Pickles from Bright Dials, who is a CRM and automations and marketing expert. Then we're going to let you go off and talk and engage and give you a few topics to discuss while you're in your breakout rooms, and then leave you to carry on your days. So enough of me, I'll shut up and I'll kindly pass you over to Mr. Steve Rackley.
Cheers, Ben. Really appreciate that. God, I love that jingle. Never gets boring. Look, thank you so much, Ben. Absolute pleasure to be here today. Cheers for organising. And yeah, Lindsey, thank you for coming along as well and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us all. As mentioned, my name is Steve Rackley. I am one of the founders at Silicon Brighton, and we are so chuffed to work alongside South Coast Sellers Club. We understand how important it is for people to be able to learn amongst their peers, build connections, and have that sense of community and belonging. And it can really help empower us all to drive our careers and our businesses forward. And yeah, that's really at the heart of what Silicon Brighton's all about. We are a community-led initiative to support digital growth across the South Coast. We began 18 months ago by working with local tech groups to help raise their profile and provide everyone with free opportunities for networking, training, upskilling, and development. Now, if you haven't come across Silicon Brighton before, I'd urge you to take a few minutes later to visit the website at siliconbrighton.com, and you can learn about upcoming events and browse through some of the great resources and speaker talks from previous sessions. You can also sign up there to our community hub and our newsletter. On our community hub, you can reach out to other members of the Silicon Brighton community, along with all the meetups we support and organisations we're aligned with. Our newsletter will help you stay informed about everything that's happening locally in tech. We also have all our previous events on our YouTube channel, and that includes the full playlist for all the previous South Coast Sellers events. They are well worth watching. And finally, alongside our events, we also drive a lot of community projects. Our current initiative is called Our Brighton. The initiative is about ensuring the culture of our city isn't lost as we come out of this pandemic. A big part of that culture is the independent stores, and we're providing any of those that are currently struggling with access to digital volunteers from our community. So you can read more about that at ourbrighton.com. And yeah, if any of you know any of those independents that need help at the moment, can you please let them know about it? That's enough from me. Thank you, Ben. Back over to you. And yeah, I'll meet you all in the chat and in the breakout after.
Cheers, Dave. So some great initiatives there, and I urge you to go and follow up and have a look at those where you can. So another picture of me. I've realised as we're going to go through this, there's a few pictures of me in here, and I can only apologise for that. What I wanted to do today was just give you a bit of insider information on the sort of tools and systems that I use practically day to day in my business, Second Voice. So I am a sole trader. I work with a number of associates that support me and my clients. And I use multiple tools to try and be as efficient as I can, because it's only me. You know, if you're running a business and you're a sole trader, you'll be in the same position. If you've got a small sales team, you want to try and make them as efficient as possible as well. So what I'm going to run through today is just some of the tools that I use. They won't necessarily be right for your business, and I want to urge that right now. It's not a copy and paste job. Every tool is different for every business, which we'll come on to when we speak with Lindsey later. But giving you a bit of insight into what other companies are doing, I thought might be helpful. And equally, if there's something you think I'm missing, please let me know of any great things out there, because I know we've got a couple of tech pros and automation pros in the audience today. So if we can bring up the next slide, I'm just going to run you through top to bottom of what that looks like. So my CRM, and CRM is the backbone of my business. So it's where I keep all of my data on prospective customers, anyone who's signed up to my mailing list, anybody who's filled out forms on the website, and it's a really powerful tool for me. So I have used HubSpot in the past for a free CRM solution, but as my business evolved, my needs evolved with it, then the requirements that I needed the software to do was slightly different. So ActiveCampaign is a tool that allows me to have pipeline management. So I can see all of the deals in a Kanban view, so from left to right, and what stage they're at, what they're worth, so I can help myself forecast and keep track of any opportunities that I'm working on. It also does my email campaigns for me. So after this event, if you've signed up, which you obviously have, you're going to get an email from me that will be powered by ActiveCampaign. And the tools within that would probably be similar. You might use MailChimp or another provider, but it allows me to see the people that are engaging with the content, who's opening the emails, what the clicks are like, and I can use that data to restructure the emails as well, so that people are getting better content into their inbox and engaging with it at a greater scale. It also has the opportunity to do lead scoring, which we'll come on to in our conversation with Lindsey as well. But essentially, understanding who's engaging with my brand, either on the website, in emails, or on the chat elsewhere, can give people scores on their activity, so I can see who the most engaged people are. And then I've also got the web chat that's powered by ActiveCampaign. So there's a chat bot on my homepage. And it also lets me build landing pages really quickly for any particular campaigns that I might be running. Now, these are things that I need to do day in, day out, and there are many other tools out there. So I would urge you to both have a look at ActiveCampaign, but look at the other tools and systems that are out there. Social selling is obviously a massive part. With everybody working from home, it's very hard to reach people on the phone these days. And while we're trying to explore new ways of getting in touch with people and opening those conversations, I'm a firm believer that the phone still plays a massive part in that. However, LinkedIn is where a lot of people are. So I believe they saw like a 3,000 or 4,000% uplift in activity since lockdown 1. And so if you're looking to get in front of prospective customers, find out who they are, use their sales navigator tool, and really try and identify the ideal customer you want to be working with. They also provide you with a social selling index, which will give you a score on how well you engage with the platform, using the tools and systems and best practice of engaging with other people. And that's a fantastic bit of kit, because you can then know some of the areas you want to improve with selling. Social posting, I use Hootsuite and Buffer. So Hootsuite does everything for my company. So anything that's branded as Second Voice, I only use Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram for Second Voice. Everything is scheduled in Hootsuite and powers out through that. And then if there are any relevant topical pieces of content that I want to share or set up discussion points, I use Buffer as a Chrome extension as a quick way of sharing a link, writing a comment, and pushing that out onto LinkedIn. So lots of ways to get my social selling up to speed and up to scratch without me having to put in a lot of hours. So I also use Calendly, which a lot of you will be familiar with, and Calendly integrates with ActiveCampaign actually. So if anybody comes onto a landing page, fills out a form, that whole process end to end for allowing someone to book a meeting with me and educate them through what I do through the process, ActiveCampaign and Calendly do that end to end. And that's really, really saved me a hell of a lot of time. Instead of the 8 or 9 back and forth emails of when are you free, let's try and get a date in the diary. It's very easy for somebody to find me, find my brand, and get a meeting in the diary where we're all free and we know what the subject matter is. So that's proved a real game changer. Anything that comes out from me on LinkedIn or my socials or an email, I've built in Canva. I am not a designer. I do not profess to be, and I'm actually pretty rubbish at it outside of this tool. But I found it to be an incredibly useful bit of kit for both using templates, keeping all my fonts in place, having a brand and a style, so that when I'm pushing out imagery with my blogs or content on my website, I'll use Canva. And a lot of the images I get from a website called Unsplash, which is a massive resource of license-free images that you can use. Now, video is being more and more used in pitches, and I would wholeheartedly encourage you to do it if you are proactively doing outreach to B2B. And the tool I use for this is Loom. And Loom is really great for recording video, just video, or you can record a video of you while you're on someone's website or on their LinkedIn page or whatever the tab is that you've got open behind the scenes. So you can leave really personalized messages when doing outreach. There was one individual who will remain nameless, but they sent me 2 or 3 LinkedIn messages, real hard sell, and I ignored it. And I'm sure you're all fed up with getting those hard sells. And he sent me a video, and he was on my website, and he pointed out a few flaws, which I wasn't aware of. And, 10 out of 10 for effort. I got on the phone with him, and next month I'll be paying for his services. So yes, I'm a salesperson. I'm very easy to sell to, but video does work. It's the personalized approach and lets you stand out. And then the last one I use, which again might be something you're already familiar with. There are other tools out there like Lusher, but I use hunter.io. And this is a bit of kit that will let you go in and check people's email addresses and find contact details for a particular company. So if you think you've got their email address, you can check it. If you know the company that you want to identify a person in, you can search it via their URL and it will bring back contact information like that. Now you'll see here that this isn't particularly groundbreaking, and you're probably aware of a lot of these already. But the bits that I've done that have saved me the time are linking them all up to work together where possible, and setting templates and repeatable actions where possible. All of that's going to save me time. So that's what I use today. On the next slide, I'm going to run through a few other tools that I don't use but have looked through that I think you might find useful as well. And the first one is Better Proposals. A Sussex-based company I found out the other day, but these will let you standardize your proposals with terms and conditions. You've got all the tracking in it so you can see what people are reading when they're reading it, and they can actually sign off the agreement in the document and make the first payment through the same document. And if you're doing a lot of proposals that carry the same information, I'd urge you to check them out. You can actually put a chatbot in your proposal as well, which is just a whole nother level. Lemlist is an email marketing tool that allows massive levels of personalization. So I could stand here with a cup of coffee, and what it would do is it would print your name on the cup of coffee in the picture. Even though I'm just holding a blank cup of coffee, it looks like I've gone and bought you all a Starbucks, and there's a personalized approach there. And it does a lot of other things with video as well. Very, very powerful bit of kit. Airtable is an online database. Essentially, it's Excel or Google Sheets on steroids, and you can build CRMs within it. You can do you've got the full pipeline management. You can manage clients. You can do pretty much any analysis on any set of data and management within that as a toolkit, which is great. Mixmax is from last memory, it was a G Suite plugin that does meeting scheduling, email automation, and a few other tools within that, and they're quite cost effective. Drift is a very powerful standalone chatbot. Intercom, you might know as something is a chatbot. Client management also gives you guided tours around apps and websites. Zoom Info is something that's incredibly powerful in finding company information if you're doing lead sourcing. It can get quite expensive up the enterprise end, and there are ways and means of using it if you're a smaller business to get value, but explore all the different technologies that you might be able to generate leads from. And then Unbounce is a tool that will allow you to build landing pages for your website for particular campaigns. So I do mine in ActiveCampaign, but if I didn't have that, I would use a tool like Unbounce that allows me to build forms, lead magnets in there, and then obviously you run all the analytics through it. And there are loads more. If a quick Google of the best sales tools out there, and there are a few websites that will give you a long list of hundreds of them. But I would urge you not to get too many in your business and find yourself drowning in them and not using them. Use the ones that are actually going to make your life easier. If you're sitting there scratching your head wondering what the hell's going on, then that is probably a good time to think, is there a tool to fix this? Why am I constantly sending emails? Why am I constantly forecasting? Whatever it might be, go and have a look. And the next slide's so important. And the next slide is, avoid temptation of LinkedIn automation. You've all received emails from bots, LinkedIn messages from bots. There are tons of them. Having automation running on LinkedIn is very dangerous. Now, for business development, I believe, and certainly for my business, LinkedIn is a crucial tool. It's not a nice to have, it's crucial. And if you get caught using bots or going beyond any normal human behavior on the system, they will ban you. Gone. So I would be very, very careful if you are doing it. I won't condone the use of it, although there are tools out there that you can use that might speed up the processes for you. But again, it's just be really, really careful and not something that we would recommend. So that's the whistle-stop tour from me, really. There are probably going to be a few questions that you've got around some of these tools. Put them in the chat or contact me on LinkedIn. after the meeting, and I'm more than happy to run through some of the things that I'm using in more detail, or talk through those other tools that I mentioned. Equally, if you've got some great bits of kit that you're using, please share it in the group and help us get all involved. So, as you've seen on a lot of our promotion, we've invited the marvellous Lindsey Pickles to come and have a chat with me today around why CRM is an essential tool to win business. And if you've been to our events before, you know that we pre-record these just so that we can get the most impact in that 30 minutes for you. But before we hit play on the video, I want to invite Lindsey up onto the screen and so that she can introduce herself to you.
Hello.
There she is. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. Welcome to the party.
Thank you very much.
So, Lindsey, please tell everyone watching who you are, what you do, and why they should carry on listening.
So, hi everyone. Thanks very much for joining today. As Ben said, my name's Lindsey Pickles, and I am director and founder even of Bright Dials. We are a specialist CRM and automation agency. So we work with clients to help them understand the best tools to help from sales and marketing all the way through operations in someone's business. And then once we've identified those tools, we help build those out, get the team trained on those tools, and then we also provide ongoing training, support, and marketing campaigns as well.
Cool. So if you've got a question around CRM or automation or marketing campaigns, then Lindsey is your person. So without further ado, I'm going to kindly ask the magicians behind the scenes to hit play on the video and enjoy the conversation. As we go, please leave your questions in the chat and we'll be running through a few of those with Lindsey straight afterwards. So Lindsey, we're here today to have a chat around why CRM is going to be or is an essential tool to win business. And I think, that applies for companies of any size. So whether you're a one-person business all the way through to, thousands of people in your organization, wouldn't that be nice? So, obviously you've explained about your background in this space, but why is CRM an essential tool?
Yeah, I mean, CRM, we're working from a sales perspective, we're working in a very different world, aren't we, to, even sort of, 10 years ago. The way sales works now is, it's all about data. It's all about understanding where your customers are coming from and how they're engaging with your brand or your business. So a CRM really is the kind of functionality to capture all of that information in one place. And, if you have a business with multiple salespeople, then obviously there's lots of data and conversations happening by different people. So it allows everyone to have a centralized source of information.
Right. And because I think when it first started out, and, I'm old enough to remember when these first became popular and lots of people were building their own, it was more designed for just a sales team. And it was, these are your contacts. This is when what your last conversations notes were, but it's evolved far beyond that. And, I look at them now and I think perhaps they're turning into marketing tools as opposed to sales tools. But what should salespeople be doing within these platforms that are going to really make them effective and useful for winning more business?
Yeah, I think, you're right. I mean, the CRM really is an element of a marketing automation platform. So, that kind of contact management functionality is a kind of basis, but there's lots of layers of other functionality available. So it's really, it's expanded the capabilities that you can now use a CRM for. And, it's just really essential that salespeople are, from tracking conversations, but being able to utilize the kind of the greater power of marketing functionality now that's available. And, it's an interesting conversation around how blurry sort of sales and marketing has become, and those overlaps between the two. So that's a really kind of evolving area where I think those functionalities used to be quite separate, but now they're much more aligned, I think.
Most definitely. And I guess if you're just starting out, there's lots of free options that you can go and set up. And as I said right at the beginning, at a real basic level, understanding who's in your contact database, who you need to be speaking to, reminders to set up calls and follow up emails, and making sure that you're maintaining those relationships. But as it evolves into that bigger piece, it's almost like that, like you say, that central repository of data and how you're engaging with your customers. It's less so for me about having a prospect identified, taking them through to sale, and then they're in the business now and you look after them. But even now, you must be focusing on servicing those customers and understanding how you can grow those relationships and get them to become ambassadors for your brand. So the CRM actually is a far more important tool to manage the relationship once the deal's been done as well. So that end-to-end cycle is even more important. So what are the considerations when picking a CRM? What should businesses, founders, or one person businesses be looking at in terms of bringing in a CRM to use for their organization?
Yeah, there's quite a few areas to consider when it comes to choosing a CRM. And I mean, really a key thing is how capable, the team is, like how much knowledge people have of using a CRM. Because, we've worked with clients who have gone from, literally using nothing or using spreadsheets, who have never really used those kind of tools before, through to, more advanced marketing teams who can use the really sophisticated elements of a marketing automation platform. So one of the things that I kind of say to clients is, don't buy a Ferrari when you may only need a Mini. So, be aware that, different tools have different capabilities. So, work with a tool that is up to your kind of level, and don't pay for more than you need to really. The other thing, which I think is very important and really catches a lot of people out, is scalability. So if you are, if your organization has 3 people, but you want to grow to 100, then, there are sort of scalable costs with most CRMs, which will relate to the, the volume of users that you need to access the platform. Of those users, how many of those, their email addresses do you want to sync into the CRM? How many emails are you going to be sending every month? Some tools will charge by page impressions, even if you're tracking your website. So that's really important, is to think about scale and where you will plan to be in the next sort of 1 to 2 years, really. The other piece is integration. So depending on your organization and the other tools that you might be using. So think about, if you have a bespoke platform, then obviously you're going to need developers to integrate data points potentially, or, you may need to use kind of a connectivity tool like Zapier or Integramat. So integration is a really important part as well, and not just with other software, but also within the organization. Because I think, what you said about, marketing is the kind of first element to kind of bring those leads through. And then you've got this sales function around, how do you convert those leads through to, a more of an operational aspect. So how do you, make sure that those customers are being looked after, and when it comes to renewals and upsell and things like that. So how will that tool connect into the operations of your business is really important as well. And And the other thing, which, it'll probably sound a bit salesy, but I, 100% stand by this. You need to have ongoing support with the CRM platform. So whether that is, if you've got, and again, this goes down to capability, but most of our clients, they don't know what the latest features are of a new tool, or a lot of these platforms, the customer service may be in a different time zone. And if you need an answer quickly, or you need some help with importing data, or, building out new workflows, or the more complex part of running a CRM or an automation platform, it's important to have ongoing support from somewhere, whether it's in-house, externally with an agency, or via the provider. So that's very important. And, the other thing is budget. You need to have the budget in order to do all of these things. So being just being clear about what your budget is super important, to make sure that you're using a tool that's going to sit within that, essentially.
Makes sense. And I think that raises a point that not everybody does have budget for a CRM, and I think you can get carried away and really excited about what automation can do, and about building out these workflows, and the bells and whistles for a sales team, and leads come out of nowhere, and revenue generation is really easy. Fact of the matter is that automation helps a lot. However, it isn't an absolute necessity. So if you're a smaller business that doesn't have the budget to invest in an ingrained and well thought out CRM setup, and there are any tools that you think might be more appropriate for freebies or off the shelves? Because I know, and we'll talk about spreadsheets in a bit more detail later, but if you're just getting started, that might be a nice on-ramp, but actually, are there better tools and cloud-based solutions that you could just pick up for, less than 30, 40 quid a month, or free for that matter?
Yeah. I mean, the old adage, nothing in life is free, and it does come, software particularly, there'll always be, well, not always, but, a free trial, or but then you'll find when you need more functionality, then you obviously have to pay for that. So, I mean, I think, we can talk about the pitfalls of a spreadsheet, but actually, if you're a one-man band, and I've said this to clients before, people be like a bit embarrassed, oh, I've only got a spreadsheet of data. And I'm like, okay, how clean is it? If you've kept that data and it's really clean and it's up to date, then that's brilliant, because when you get to the point when you are going to use a CRM, that makes it so much easier to actually get that CRM up and running. So, there isn't anything wrong with a spreadsheet. It would definitely be my preferred format for keeping data in, when it does come around to doing a migration. But yeah, in terms of your kind of cheaper sort of tools. I mean, we use Pipedrive for clients. I think Pipedrive is a great tool for smaller organizations who are about to use a tool for the first time. It's got a really good user interface. It's really easy to use, and I think that's a great sort of starter tool. I think it's around $20, $25 a month or something. So that one's really good. I think Copper, if you use G Suite, Copper is quite a good tool as well, because of the kind of connectivity, the prospecting capabilities with Copper, and connecting into your email and stuff. So yeah, there's tools out there. But again, it's going back to the scale that you might have in the future, because once you start using a tool, it's you're likely to stay with it. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, no, good advice. And I know obviously the one of the conversations that I've had with a few clients recently is taking on HubSpot, and not to call out brands directly, but they are very good at winning new clients and growing their client base, because their CRM is the on-ramp, but HubSpot is more and more a marketing tool than it is a sales support tool. And I think the CRM is the least of what they do. So while it is good to start storing everything in one place and get to use a CRM and understand managing your day to day, that very quickly becomes expensive if you want the extra tools, which you'll soon realize you do. So your point around understanding your own business requirements, I back that fully. It's really crucial to understand what you're going to need in the future.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about, let's just say the spreadsheet environment is a useful one for the short term. What's the best thing that people can be doing to making sure that it's going to be useful? And when they finally transfer that data over to a pipe drive, what are the features of some of those cloud-based solutions that can be replicated into a spreadsheet?
Yeah, I mean, I think really what you need to, with a spreadsheet, one of the classic things, and we see this a lot with a tool like MailChimp, whereby the data is in lots of different spreadsheets, and when you extract that data, there's different headers. So I mean, the header is basically the top row in a spreadsheet, and those headers at the top of each column, they will essentially become a field in your CRM. So it's really important to obviously have first name and last name as separate. Like that's one of the most common things that people might do, is have first name and last name in one field, in one column. So like always make sure that's separate to ensure data quality, because splitting that is not fun. You obviously must have email. Email is really the unique identifier for pretty much all CRMs. So make sure that you can't really import data without an email, essentially. So that's the most important thing. Try not to mix up your mobile and landline numbers. Like keep those in two separate columns is really helpful. And again, with address data, it's some tools are quite good at importing it in one column, but it's better, I think, to keep that data separated where possible. And then those columns can be customized to whatever is relevant to your business. So you might have different categories or industries that you're targeting, or you may have biotypes or personas that you want to track against those customers, or even if it's a date field and notes. So have a column for a date, first contact, second contact, and so on, and keeping that data really sort of clean is really important as well. So yeah, the other thing to bear in mind as well with companies, so if you've got a company name or an account name, it can be called, you need to make sure that you're using the same account name, because if you'll have people you may have 5 people working at one company. So each of those 5 contacts, which would have a row, the company name needs to be identical. Otherwise, when you import that, you'll have 3 companies which are the same, and you have to merge them. So those would be my kind of top tips for keeping your data in a good place for when you do import.
Keeping it clean. So we talk about data there. So having a data-led sales strategy, I think there's a lot of spray and pray, for want of a better phrase, of just hoping for the best, and having more of a strategic approach to sales and selling, and utilizing data to inform your approaches. How do you use data to build out a sales strategy?
Yeah, I think, it'd be good to sort of talk about the kind of old world versus the new world, the kind of cold outbound versus, the kind of inbound approach. So yeah, that kind of spray and pray approach, is the kind of, the more of the old school way of approaching sales. So by having a kind of more of a data-led strategy, really what that means is that you are essentially tracking the way that your leads are engaging with you, and now be that they visited a page, you've had a phone call with them, that's something that you would log, or you can use tracking systems for that, and you use all of these kind of ways that your leads interact with you to kind of build a kind of picture, and that kind of picture is built on data, and that can't really be built by human, a human touch. It's assessing all of this information. At one time, the system's churning that information through, and then you can use what's called lead scoring, which some people may be familiar with and other people may not. But what that means is that you can identify, you create a score. So you give a piece of data or an engagement a score, and you can weight that score to be more or less important. You can do a negative lead score to take away points if people have done something. And that then over time builds up a picture of who your hot leads are, your hot prospects. So instead of the old school kind of, spray and pray, I've got 100 leads, and those leads, bang out 100 phone calls, you may get through to 10 of those people, then, you may get meetings with 2 of them, and then one of those meetings could turn into business. The kind of warm approach is about tracking 100 of those leads, but actually looking at the point, looking at all of that information and going, okay, who are the warm people right now? So the system allows you to, see when those people are ready to buy, and then you put your effort on those 20 people when you're actually ready to, when they're ready to buy, and you can make the phone call at the right time. So that's the complete difference to what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a game changer. And I think, it's almost like that. It's very convenient. Oh, you phoned me. Oh, really? I was just on your website. It's like, really? Yes. I mean, that's something that is it's not really new, but it is becoming more and more widely used. And I think that's really important. And some examples of applying scores to people might be that they've downloaded a white paper on your website, or visited a certain page, or opened up your newsletter 3 times in the last week. And there's many, as you've said, there's many different variables that you can set that give these scores. And obviously those people are engaging with your content and your brand because they have a need or are interested, and they're the ones you want to call. They're not always going to be the most forthcoming and want to inquire. So yeah, that's a really powerful tool. But that is obviously building out a digital footprint of a prospective customer and helping you prioritize which leads to follow. So how how would you build that into automation, or what can automation do within a CRM that is going to help the people watching today sell more, either as an individual that's using CRM or as a business owner that's about to implement? What's the automation play that you think are the top things people should be using?
Yeah, I think the most important thing from a sales perspective with automation is lead nurturing. So you've got leads, and putting them through a process of potentially education. So those leads may not be quite ready to buy, and they need an educational aspect to that. So having a kind of a flow which educates those users, rather than you spending your time doing that, use the automation to take that time away from you and let the automation do it. So that is, I think, probably the most useful thing for from a sales perspective. And I think it also, using that to qualify leads as well is a really useful part. So that education and qualification can go kind of hand in hand. So yeah, I mean, whether, if you've got for example, what Bright Dials does is quite a difficult concept to get across. So, so a lot of people don't even know what marketing automation is. So, we have to educate people as to what it means, and for them, to know when they're ready to buy, really, and they're at the right point to buy. So that's super important.
And is that just email, or what are the channels that you can use either through CRM or plugging into other tools?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the automation, the triggers that you can use, I mean, that can be pretty much any digital channel that you want, whether somebody's filled out a form, or they've, like you say, they've downloaded an ebook, or they've opened an email, or they've engaged on social potentially. There's lots of triggers that you can use to start that flow. But, predominantly email is the channel. Email is the channel to use. And I think people can be paying quite a lot for their leads. The classic thing is people go out and they buy all these leads, and then email is so cheap to continue a conversation with people, and people don't use it properly. So I think make sure that you use email, because it's super cheap. And then once you've built up your you keep building up your list, then you're going to be in a good place for those repeat, not necessarily, repeat sales, but also having a good database to do targeted comms with for sales opportunities.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. It's a powerful channel still, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. That and LinkedIn. I want to get your thoughts, since we're talking about automation. What are your views on people using automation on LinkedIn? So using bots to message and talk to people. That's slightly left field, but
yeah, the bot, I think people are having success with it probably, but it is a bit of a spray and pray technique. It's a little bit on the dodgy side, and yeah, I think it kind of, with LinkedIn, you've got to have a reason to contact people. You've got to, the same with any sales approach, right? You've got to research who that person is, and have a good sort of pitch to that person. Whereas a lot of the LinkedIn, the spammy kind of bot messages, I think they're very easy to spot.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I don't.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's a difference between using bots versus well-designed automation to make life easier and bringing people through the funnel. So yeah, no, absolutely. Well, one of the I guess the issues that people might face is that there's such a broad choice, right? So if you were gonna hang your hat, what would be the 5 CRM tools that you think are going to be invaluable?
Yeah, in terms of, do you mean tools or features?
Both. If you've got them in one platform, great. But if it's, I don't know, using, you mentioned Pipedrive with something else, all right, let's go with features, because then if it can be made up of a number of tools, then
yeah, if we're talking about features, I like the most important features, CRM features or automation platform features for sales. The one feature that most people see that they absolutely love, and it can be called lots of different things, but essentially, from marketing speak, is single view of the customer, right? So you see every single thing that person has done with your brand in one place. And so SharpSpring is a tool that we use, and they've got a really nice, it's called Life of the Lead, and you can see every single engagement. I think that is it's quite eye-opening for people when they haven't seen that before, and I think it's incredibly useful for selling. The other one, which is I think is really the visual Kanban pipeline view. So that ability to customize your pipeline into stages and to see it in stages. So you've got all of your opportunities in what's called a Kanban board style. I think that is a really brilliant feature for sales, to be able to drag and drop those and move those, move those opportunities along the pipeline is really, really important. Lead scoring, which we talked about, is a great tool, but obviously it's more of an advanced feature, I think, for most people. And the other thing is, using, again, it's a feature which is called different things in different platforms, but having easy templates, email templates. So I think quite often salespeople will fall into the trap of writing out very similar emails repeatedly, and they're not consistent, and they may miss information. So a lot of platforms will allow you to, here's this template, and obviously there needs to be customization with comms to potential leads. It's not all automated, but that's a kind of hybrid of, automation and customization, where you can, you retain consistency and you save time. So that is really important. And then another tool, which I think is, again, it's this kind of, is it marketing, is it sales, but, using chat services on a site, so not only does it give a better, you've got opportunities that may otherwise have been missed to capture data on your site, capture leads, but then also you can use chatbots quite cleverly to qualify those into opportunities as well. So I think that's kind of a really nice feature that probably more people could take advantage of.
Definitely. I've actually just implemented one onto my site, so I'm glad you said
there you
it.
go.
Good timing. A nice little hack as well. So email templates is something that, as a salesperson, has been the bane of my life. As in not having them. And I've always fallen into that trap of writing everything over and over and over. You just write the same thing over and over. But there's a neat trick if you're using Office or Microsoft Outlook for your email provider. You can save templates and create shortcuts so that you start typing a word and it will populate the whole email for you. So even if you're not using CRM, there are shortcuts and hacks to productivity outside of that as well. So get those templates made, because your client's problems are usually always going to be the same, so that you can get the bulk of the information in. Absolutely. Strong point. So bearing in mind, we've got a variety of people watching today. So they're either going to be salespeople, they're going to be small business owners that are going to try and win clients themselves, or you've got leadership teams and growing organizations within sales functions. What are going to be some of the key things that you want to leave with people so that they take away, I heard this from Lindsey and I've got to go and implement it today?
I think the key message for me is use your data. Use the data that you've got in order to understand your customers better. And that's not just in terms of engagement, but where are your best leads coming from? What's your ROI on those customers? And think about how to reduce your manual efforts where you can, by using the templates or any of the other things we've discussed, in order to put your time into selling, and being able to sell to the right people at the right time is the most important thing. And whatever size business you are, make sure you record everything that's going on, where you are having conversations or it can't be tracked by a system. Make sure those conversations are recorded. And those are the key things.
Nice. I'd also add, making sure that, regardless of how small or big your business is, understand those processes, right? So at what point do I need to be speaking to a customer? At what point do I need to be sending this message, this copy, pushing information out on LinkedIn, and have a bit of a cadence, have a plan end to end of what needs to be? Because when you can see it, and, you can use tools like Miro, others are available, where you can just start drawing what the client or the customer is going to be doing through that journey, and then what the system needs to do and what you or your sales team need to do, just so you've got visibility. And it also helps as a training tool as well.
I think that's a very important point. I mean, we always start with mapping out the user journey, and from that initial kind of marketing channel through to the sales process, through to operations and potential renewals. So don't think about tools, think about that journey. That's the most important thing to start with. Absolutely. And, I think it's really important to just take some time out. A lot of people, when we do this exercise with clients, and they're kind of blown away because it's like, whoa, we can see it all. And, but it's actually take that time to just turn everything off and really think about that. And then you can build in, then which kind of system you're going to need, and you map out the comms that you want to say, and you make them consistent, and you follow up with everything. So yeah, it's very important to do that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you and I have obviously worked with a number of clients previously, and they've seen some great results, which is always awesome to see. But if anyone wants to speak to you or find out more about you or Bright Dials, where can they find you?
Yeah, obviously, you can visit our website, brightdials.com. And if you want to, find out more about CRM, we have a new lead magnet. So you're very welcome to download that. And it's a really sort of extensive guide on everything that you will need to know about CRM. And also then actually by doing that, you can learn the kind of automation process that you could potentially use for your own business as well. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that. And obviously all the contact details are on there as well. So just get in touch or contact me on LinkedIn.
Marvelous. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot. Hopefully there's some key takeaways there that people can apply. And yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch with Lindsey, you know where to find her, and feel free to ask questions. So thanks again, Lindsey.
Thanks very much, Ben.
Cheers. Catch you soon.
Bye.
Awesome. Where's Lindsey? Bring Lindsey in. Bring her in. she's loitering. I mean, hopefully there was some really good stuff that you guys can take away in that conversation. It's someone personally, I've worked in the sales world for a long time. I've been using CRM, but even after that conversation, there's a few key points that I took away which were really useful. So Lindsey, thanks for taking the time to record that with me. We've got a couple of questions. One is from Jenny. It says her team doesn't understand the benefits of their CRM. How should she convince them?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it does depend on I think looking at the why they don't understand the benefits, and obviously there's going to be a training requirement there possibly, but I think it's really important to be able to train people at the level of understanding that they might be at, and I think the key message is really, it's going to save you time. And that time that you save, you can spend it on, doing things which are more productive and, less manual. So that is always one of the key benefits for a team.
Cool. Rachel Gregory has asked, are there any tools out there to show what time of day people are most active on LinkedIn? So knowing when to push out content.
Yeah, I saw that question. That's it's an interesting one. I mean, we don't generally get involved with that kind of those kind of tools. I don't even know if it's possible, whether LinkedIn shares that information. They're pretty closed in terms of what they'll share to third-party applications. So yeah, probably need to have a little bit of research into that one, but I'm not sure that there would be, but yeah.
In Buffer, I mentioned I was using Buffer to push social posts through. I think there is a little bit of learning in that tells you when your own posts are doing well, as opposed to generically for LinkedIn. So I guess have a look at whatever you're posting to LinkedIn with. If you're going directly on LinkedIn, it's going to be harder. If you're using a third-party tool to push content onto LinkedIn, there may be some reporting in that offers a solution.
Yeah, you could do that because it's quite a handy feature that time of day. I'm just thinking of Social Pro, is it? They do that where you can, if you just connected in LinkedIn and that was your only channel that you have connected in, and then that might show you time of day use doing it that way.
Makes sense. Cool. Peter has asked, my data is all over the place. He's used other words. Have you got any recommendations how you can daisy chain different tools together?
Yeah, I mean, tools like Zapier and Integromat, Automation.io, they're kind of such game changers. So, I mean, they're called kind of middleman API tools. So they allow you to connect your software together. Zapier is the most well-known one, but Integromat is a little bit cheaper and it's more visual, which some people might prefer. I think it can be a little bit simpler, but you do need to have a fair aptitude for doing that kind of work. But it does make it easier for the kind of lay person to do that kind of connection. But I mean, really, you probably want to just step back and look at your kind of user journeys, and then, you know, look at the functionality of the tools that you have, and, you know, what needs to connect, and perhaps try and clear out your patchwork if you have one, which is lots of tools connecting together. You don't want to let that mushroom out. So
Great. For everyone that's on at the moment, Kieran has just put a LinkedIn from HubSpot that shows some great times to be posting on LinkedIn to address Rachel's point. So have a look at that. And Adam has asked, is there a good tool out there to plan the user journey or the funnel? He feels like he knows the middle bit of the process, but struggled to visualize the top of the funnel and how to identify opportunities for better systems.
yeah, I mean, there's quite a few sort of user journey mapping tools that you can use. Miro is one. There's a standard kind of Google application that's it was called Draw.io. Google recently bought it, and, you know, we use that one a lot. It's super simple, drag and drop sort of interface, and allows you to just connect up all of the actions. So yeah, just think about, you know, what's the trigger of something, what kind of is the action that you're looking to then you know, create a split in that journey, essentially. So yeah, have a go at using the Google one's quite easy.
Drawing them out on, you know, visualizing is so important. Another one I'll mention on that is called marketplan.io. And what you're able to do with that is put your Facebook ads, your Google ads, you can put any other aspect into the whole funnel, and it will actually plug into your live funnel, so you can still see real conversion rates on it as well as forecasting the productivity of a particular customer flow, which is really exciting. But great. Well, look, I think that's you know, we've had some good questions in. Obviously, you're in our LinkedIn group, and people know where to find you. So if you are of the shy retiring type and you didn't want to ask your question today, please feel free to either send Lindsey a message or drop it in our LinkedIn group later, and both her and I and anyone else who wants to contribute to any answers will be there to do so. So Lindsey, thank you so much for your time, and we'll let you have your day back.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks very much for having me.
No, you're welcome.
Cheers.
So for the next part of what we're going to do is going to put you into some rooms at the moment, but I want to just bring this up on screen first. Get your phones out, scan the QR code so you can join the Silicon Brighton Hub. It was the piece that Steve spoke about right at the beginning. So you can network there, learn about all the other events that Silicon Brighton are running, and really start to build out a local South Coast and Brighton-based community for local businesses, which is a fantastic opportunity. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to snap that and go and join up if you haven't already. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can get all these later, so don't worry, we'll share the information afterwards. And then here's the code for our private LinkedIn group. As I mentioned, go and join that, and we'll get you all approved. And equally as important is we've got our next event on the 22nd of April, where we will be discussing the construction of conversation. So how to build a conversation and how to control it. And I know a lot of people, when you're in having a conversation, which is the most natural thing in the world, you feel like you might be cheating yourself and trying to sell something or be underhand. But actually, by understanding how conversations are managed correctly, everyone can benefit from a sales conversation, and how you construct those, how you manage them to help you win more customers, grow your network, and get some new relationships going in the business community. We'll be covering all of that and more on the 22nd of April. So go and sign up at Eventbrite, and we'll be sharing more information on the speakers for that very, very soon. So as promised, we want to make this more inclusive. So we're going to put you into some breakout rooms now. So we're going to give you your microphones and videos back. And what would be great is if you could spend some time just quickly introducing yourself, you know, who you are, what your company does, and let everyone have a go. And then just as a point of topic, just to get you started in conversation, what is your favorite sales tool that you're using in your organization today? And if you aren't any, hopefully you'll leave these conversations with some great advice. So we're going to open these rooms up. There'll be 4 or 5 people in each room. And then we'll call you back in around 15 to 20 minutes. So you've got plenty of time to have a chat. And then we'll follow up and close the event shortly after. So could our keyboard maestro behind the scenes put everyone in the breakout rooms, and I might see you in one shortly. Right, so hopefully you managed to catch up with some lovely new faces and share some ideas. And thanks again for coming along. We're not going to keep you any longer than we need to. If you want to go and network with your new peers, please do. LinkedIn is the place to do it. Go and add us on the group, and we'll make sure you are put into that group, and feel free to chat and share ideas and topics. We're also going to be doing loads of events over the course of this year, so send over ideas that you want to talk about, because we're happy to come up with our own ideas, but it's you that are the ones that are going to hopefully make this the community that it can be. So share the love, share the ideas, get in the questions, leave any notes in the chat, and make sure you download that chat as well, because there might be some good stuff in there for you to capture afterwards. But once again, here's the link to our LinkedIn group and our next event on the 22nd of April. That's all from me. A final thank you to everyone for giving up their time and coming to join us today. Thank you to Lindsey for giving up her time and expertise. Most of all, thanks for you for your time joining the party. So adios from me, and see you on the 22nd, if not before. Take care.